Hi, I'm Matt with Schematical, and today we're going to be using my new diagramming tool to diagram up how DrawnBy.ai works, another project of mine, or more specifically, the backend for DrawnBy.ai, Chaos Pixel. Let's jump in here. By the way, if you like web application architecture, learning about how to scale your servers and systems and all that, making AI run on AWS and the cloud on a discount, then subscribe. Check this out. If you're not familiar with DrawnBy.ai, it is a stable diffusion as a service, specifically aimed at pet owners that me and my friend launched last year. So this tool isn't actually on schematical.com yet. You can see I'm running it localhost here. So here's a little diagram I did of basically the network map of how DrawnBy.ai's backend Chaos Pixel functions. And the cool thing about this diagramming tool is I can actually add links that actually links directly to the right GitHub code in there. So I can see that is the API gateway, REST API, and that is linked to from the API gateway instance there. And these icons I all hand did. I'm going to actually do some live streams where I animate some of this stuff for you guys so you can enjoy me building the icons that are available here. By the way, if you want to use this, you can use this software soon. I will release it on schematical.com. Check the link in the show notes. How about that? Check the link in the show notes, and that'll have a link to either the pre-sign-up page or the actual sign-up page. Each one of these network diagrams, I guess let's finish going through the network diagram. Sorry. So the internet comes in here. There's the API gateway. We've got a Lambda, that's our GQL service. We've got MongoDB that actually exists outside of our VPC, but I don't have a way of indicating that yet. I do have a plan to add tile layers so you can group things and whatnot. Here's Kinesis right there. So that's our big queue that pumps events out to our worker and any other consumers we might have, but this worker here. We've got an S3 bucket, which is where all the binary images go and the fine-tuned models get stored. We've got CloudFront operating over here. That's a pretty bland diagram. If anybody's got a better idea for a diagram, let me know. And over here, we've got the Chaos Pixel Route 53 record right there, which oddly enough, the animation doesn't time quite right. That bird's not supposed to be constantly going, like once every couple seconds. Over here in the background, we've got AWS Batch. I'm going to take a second just to pause here and enjoy this. This animation I'm quite proud of, actually. It was an interesting shuffle. You can actually follow it all the way through, and you can see it moving there. But it took a while to do. It was worth it, though. I did it on a live stream on Twitch. So if you're not following me on Twitch, check out Schematical Games. Even though I don't do games, somebody already took my Schematical handle. So I do some games. I actually might turn this thing into a game, which is, I could talk more about at the end. So, and then here's a simple email service. So now each one of the diagrams can have multiple flows. So let's go ahead and take a look right here. And the cool thing about the flowchart is using the resources I put on the screen there, it automatically generates these columns that you can use for your diagram here. So it takes the resources from your network map and creates swim lanes that you can then diagram up. And it's pretty easy to diagram here. So I've done a pretty long one. So I'm not going to spend all day on it, but this diagram becomes the animation there. The font's gone a little wonky here. Actually, I need a better font. So if anybody knows a good pixelated font that's affordable, send it my way. So right here, I can say the internet, receives a request to upload training data, routes the request to GQL Lambda, and generates a signed S3 URL for the users. So remember that right there. So I put all this in there. It's pretty simple. I went and edited the text. At that point, now we can go back to the flow or to the network diagram, and I can hit play and look at that. We can see the request coming in from the internet. That routes the request to the GQL Lambda from the API gateway. That generates a signed S3 URL for the users to upload a set of files with. So it's going to talk to S3, so you can see it sends a request to get a signed URL. And there it goes. It responds with the signed URLs. and responds to the user with the signed URLs, and that request goes back out. Now the URL or the user is going to upload the images directly to S3. So you can see it goes directly to S3 there. That saves the pics with responds with a confirmation message here. That goes back out, makes a request to start a training model job. So at this point, we've got the images. The user is going to tell us that the images are uploaded. Go ahead and train my model. Takes web traffic from the GQL Lambda, goes ahead and puts that in the database saying, hey, we're going to train a model, and we call it a training model job as the database record. And at that point, we publish the training model job event to Kinesis. So we basically tell any consumers, if we've got multiple microservices listening maybe, but we don't, we've just got the one. So Kinesis might be a bit overkill here, but I dream big. So that tells the worker Lambda that there's a new event. So it looks at the training model job event, and since we can't train PyTorch models on Lambda to my knowledge yet, we have to create an AWS batch job, and that will get trained in ECS using a Docker image. And technically, it's actually because we use GPUs. I've done a whole videos on this, different series on it, where I explain the details of it. But basically, we have to boot up and run our own instances that have GPUs there because ECS also doesn't support Fargate. ECS Fargate does not support GPU as of the last time I checked, which is probably now almost a year ago. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that project. So I need to work on the scaling there. But this reads the training model job passed in via the batch job and pulls so it knows basically where the S3 files are that we're going to use as our basis. So where are the dog photos? So we're going to train the model to memorize. And that responds with the training images. And that runs the PyTorch inside of AWS Batch, or technically EC2 via AWS Batch. And that saves the model. So you generate a fine-tuned model, you train the model to learn your face or your dog's face, and we save that model to S3. And then when we're done, we publish an event to Kinesis saying, hey, we're done. And so Kinesis consumes it, propagates it, the worker consumes it, and the worker says, oh, great, training model's done. What do we do now? Well, you know what? I actually probably should. I think there's another database interaction in there where it basically loads a few things. But basically it says, okay, you've got the model. Great. Go generate some photos now. Yeah, it has to load all the inference requests there. So I missed that, but that's all right. Just imagine it's in there. Return the fine-tune training model. So since we're using, serverless type infrastructure, we don't assume that it's already got access to the fine-tune model. So we're going to re-pull that from S3 there, because most likely it's a new process. It generates the images, and AWS Batch generates the images, and we're going to save that to S3 as well. Probably could have done 2 different buckets for that. In reality, I didn't actually use 2 different buckets. And another cool thing, again, I think I said this earlier, but I've got a link to the exact Terraform scripts I use for all this. So if you're having trouble figuring out what goes where, now you can actually click over to the exact Terraform scripts. I did that for most of the infrastructure that I could here. And I will be sharing this diagram publicly in the show notes, so feel free to check it out. But so now we finished generating the images. We're going to propagate that to the worker. The worker is going to get some signed URLs. In reality, I think it does some more database stuff there, but that's not the important part of this. But we're going to go to CloudFront to get the signed URLs, since CloudFront's for downloading. And we're going to, and CloudFront's a CDN in case you're not familiar with it. So it's a bit more cost efficient to use to distribute your binary data if you're going to, distribute to a lot of people here. Composes. So from here, we compose an email to the users telling them their images are ready. And we send that to our email service. And I accidentally double click and pause it. Then we send off the email to the end user. And that should go out the internet pipes, and we're done. The internet hopefully routes the email to the user. And we're back at the beginning. So That's 2 projects done. My diagramming software, which I guess I could do a diagram of the diagramming software, but it's really simple compared to the back end of Drawn by AI and all that. So that is my diagramming software, diagramming Drawn by AI, another project I've got. I plan to do a couple more of these. I'd love your feedback on them. If you like this, let me know. If you have questions about AWS infrastructure, and post them. I'm happy to do videos on this stuff. I kind of geek out over it. And if you want to use this diagramming software, it's a work in progress, but I will have a sign-up link in the show notes you can check out. If you need extra help on this stuff too, again, feel free to ask. I'll publicly talk about this. If you need extra help and you want some more hands-on stuff, you can either sign up for my group coaching, or you can sign up. I consult on this stuff, so go to schematical.com. I need to just write .com over there. Hold on. There we go. Now I don't have to superimpose the little thing every time. I'll just zoom cut to it. Make my life a lot easier. All right, but yeah, I consult on this stuff, so feel free to go to schematical.com, and I'm happy to help. I also have a free ebook, schematical.com/book. 20 things you can do today to save money on your AWS bill. So if you need help saving money, go to schematical.com/book and get the free ebook. So without further ado, I'm Matt with Schematical. Have a great day.